Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and yeah, we're going to be talking about patch 4.1 right now. Obviously we've been doing that with a few videos so far, but we're going to start looking towards the Siege rework. As you may or may not be aware, some changes have come into effect for the third time, I believe. So hopefully this one sticks. I've been able to play around with it a little bit, so we're going to talk about my findings and how I find this third and hopefully final Siege rework. So the first thing of note is that as you level up your settlements, you'll be getting more HP towards the gates and the walls, but not the barricade and the towers. So this is actually quite important to note because this means that your cities will be, well, hopefully fairly more defensible. So each level goes up in 2,000 actual health and war health, while the gatehouse health is in increments of 4,000. This happens at every level barring level 3 for some reason, which doesn't actually increase anything. Might be an oversight, it might just be a bug. But then again, this is Total War, so we're kind of used to that. We're going to talk about what this means for you as an attacker and a defender. If you're an attacker, it's going to take a lot more time to smash your way through gates and walls. This is something that is going to be fairly obvious with you as you start getting into later game, where the enemies will have better settlements, so therefore having better walls if they've used these buildings to upgrade. You know, you've got to still focus on the upgrading to make your settlements better, same as the AI. So if you're attacking, it might take a little bit time longer. If you're defending, that also does mean that walls and gates will last a bit longer. This also works the same way with artillery pieces, though coming in with a decent amount of iron blasters will still knock down everything. I mean, having 6 shots doesn't take down a wall anymore. It was, I think in total you needed 8 or maybe 7. It obviously does depend on the shot itself and the artillery piece that you're using. The iron blasters are some of the best ones in the game, so obviously they're going to knock down the walls faster. Overall, I like this change. It's not too bad, and yeah, I can't complain about this. Obviously, keep in mind that a lot of your walls are not going to be taken out. It's just mostly going to be the gates because the enemies are going to climb over the walls. So it's going to affect you more, but at the end of the day, it's still not a bad change. This is because you'll be able to actually defend your gate area and not feel like you're going to have to fall back directly as soon as the enemy gets literally within range of your gate. Yeah, so far, not a bad thing. I've done a few custom battles. I like how it's turning out. Okay, next change. Now, this one you might not like defensively, but you'll absolutely adore this offensively. The defensive towers within the settlement, so just the ones that you can build up, have been nerfed dramatically. Their range has now been reduced to 200. This means that, yeah, you're not going to have towers firing everywhere throughout the map, and they're going to stop being so ridiculous. If you're one of those people who like to take your time, especially with sieges, moving in slowly, maybe you don't have the fastest army, you're not going to be bombarded by literally everything from the very beginning. Yeah, I like this. This is a good change. These towers should be reactionary. It might be a bit too small. I'd say 250 would probably work a little bit better. They always have to be able to reach at least the control point itself. But overall, yeah, very, very good change. It solves a lot of problems with tower defense. It does make it a little bit less soul-sucking. If you guys watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I absolutely despise this mechanic. So yeah, I'm definitely a lot more keen to play siege battles if I'm not going to be shot from the other side of the map using these towers. Okay, so this is a minor change which some people don't seem to like. I'm kind of indifferent to it. So towers will also now have access to something called Towers Vision. It's a permanent hex around 80 meters in the effect range. It's always active, and this basically means that units with Stalk will now be found a lot easier throughout these areas. Again, not really too much of a problem. I don't see this as a anti-fun mechanic. It makes sense that any internal towers that you will have will be on the lookout for any stalking units, so you won't be able to capture settlements faster and so on. This also works on the AI, so if you've got enemies with a bunch of stalk who are trying to get in there, because sometimes they can be a little bit smart, not all the time, but yeah, it's going to be fairly good to be able to find stuff. For those of you in a panic, 80 meters is actually not a lot, so you're still going to be able to run around, you're still going to be able to capture points. It just depends on where these towers are in proximity to the capture points themselves. All in all, I feel like this could be good, just make things a little bit more logical. I don't mind it. I'm indifferent to it. but people will like it. So once we show off the next change, I'm also going to show the fact that stalk units aren't actually getting nerfed. I know a lot of people were thinking that it was going to be a bad nerf, but they're still able to move around. But this is focusing on the final capture point, the one that actually generates tickets. So it's locked now, meaning that you're going to have to come in. This is in triple speed, so you'll be able to see everything in action. I'm sending a group of Grudges all the way to the end. They're not going to be able to capture the last point until the second to last. That's the one that is unlocked but is bigger than the others, has been capped. So this means that siege battles are going to last a little bit longer. It also means that the AI is going to have to focus on that final point for you to have a defensive point if you want to fall back, rather than you having to hold back at the end and, you know, get walloped tremendously. It's actually a little bit better. I was able to play a few battles testing it out versus the AI, and yeah, surprisingly it works as intended. I know, I'm shocked too. But this does make the siege battles feel a little bit, again, less soul-sucking. I'm actually fairly impressed. Now, this should have been the case since the launch of Warhammer 3, but hey, better late than never. I must say that I do like this system. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't solve all the issues with siege battles, but it does definitely make things a little bit better, and I think that's still a win. Now, this one is actually a very good change, something that we've had as a mod for a while now, but it's good to see officially. Now, when you destroy any barricades, any towers, and so on, they can't be rebuilt. So the first time that you build them is the last time. This is actually a very good thing, as it removes the tower building mechanic while still keeping the tower building mechanic, if you get what I mean. No more minigame, just use it once. It's kind of like a deployable, even though it's stationary, but hey. From my testing, and I've done a few fair battles at this point, I will be very honest with you. This actually feels a lot better. I'm very, very surprised about this, because originally when we were told about this by CA developers, I thought this was going to be a band-aid more than anything else, but I've done, well, the patch has been out like 4 hours now, and I've done a fair amount of battles. It actually feels better, to the point that I had a little bit of fun. Yeah, I'm surprised. Alright, so I've talked to you about the changes. I've had a good number of hours now, around 4.5 hours, to be able to play with this new patch. I want to talk to you about my experience with sieges. Right now, what I'm going to be showcasing is myself playing as a defensive force versus an offensive ogre. Both of us with randomly generated armies. Mine actually is a little bit better than theirs. And yeah, the ogres don't perform too well here, but considering how the ogres used to just smash down through walls and so on, this is on settlement level 4. This actually shows that, yeah, defending the walls is a little bit more viable now, which is something that people did want. You are still able to fall back if you so wish. I managed to do a number of battles both as defender and offense, and what I can say is everything is better. From a defender point of view, defending the walls is much more viable, provided that you have the troops to be able to hold those walls, and yeah, it's not bad. In all fairness, this is how it should have been at the launch of Warhammer 3, but better late than never. I could stay negative if I wanted to, but the fact of the matter is, I actually do like these changes. Sure, we've seen some changes come in the form of mods, but I know not a lot of people do download mods. I am one of those people who heavily promote them, but yeah, you know, everyone wants changes and fixes officially done, and I completely agree. This is definitely a step in the right direction for sieges. From a defensive point of view, the fact is I can now fall back if I want to and defend that control point without having to worry about having 2 control points to worry about too much. Obviously, still, you'll want to have as many of the points on your favor as possible for momentum's sake, but from a defender's point of view, I was able to fight a battle and not feel like I was going to slam my head onto the table. Instinctively too, I didn't even think about the little mini game that used to exist. I built up my towers where I needed to, but when they fell, I didn't have to worry. It's actually kind of nice. Yes, that was a benefit for you as a defender, but as you know, it was annoying as an attacker, and in most cases, you will be attacking more. Naturally, when it comes to campaign, which I did manage to play a few campaign battles, this can be a bit different, as you will still have garrisons, you will also have access to more enemy armies attacking you at some points, but again, from what I managed to play, yeah, it feels good. It feels like it should from a defender's point of view. From an attacker's point of view, now I don't dread fighting in settlements. This was my biggest issue, I think, when it came to Total War Warhammer 3, where I would launch invasions and sometimes I would just decide I'm going to starve them out because I don't want to play the same settlement over and over again. Yes, there's still the same settlements, which does become a bit of a problem, but I believe that what was grating me more was the fact that, yeah, you know, the tower building mechanic, the fact that everyone was just building up over and over again. It's gone, it feels better. Taking down the walls does actually take a little bit longer, so you're going to have to think about your armies a little bit more. However, I will say that you're still going by the motions. It doesn't really take anything away. In most cases, you're still pushing your way in. It is a little slower, but if you've got the artillery or if you're just taking over the walls, that's perfectly fine. Enough units in multiple areas, you'll still take down the wall very quickly. It's just a little slower than usual. But now, from what I've been able to play, and I did have a little bit of time on the campaign, and yeah, it just definitely feels better. This, again, a very good step in the right direction. Truth be told, I'd rather if they just got rid of the capture points fully, but if they're going to double down on this and if they're going to actually fix the major issues, this is a good thing. It is a good thing. I know, I'm as surprised as you are. I've been fairly positive throughout this video, but like I said earlier, when Creative Assembly actually showed us the patch notes a little bit sooner so we could make videos, which I didn't do, I really thought it was going to be a band-aid problem. Again, this is a big thing as why I decided to wait, because I thought, well, rather than just reading the patch notes, it would be easier for me to play around with it and actually see if this is better. All in all, yes, this is not going to be for everyone, and yes, I still believe that they need to add in more maps for the sake of variety, because variety is the spice of life and still will make sieges feel a little bit better, but overall, yes, this is a very good change. I can't believe I'm saying this considering that I have been fairly pessimistic about the game lately for obvious reasons, but yeah, I am happy. It's weird. Now, yes, there's a lot of issues coming into this patch. There are a few extra new bugs being implemented, but when it comes to sieges right now, this is a good change. I am happy with what's happening. Hopefully this continues. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys would have had time to play. Well, it came out quite early, so some of you are still at work. But let's discuss. And if anyone from Creative Assembly is listening to this video, yeah, thank you for actually listening. It's taken a while, a little bit more than a lot of us would have liked, possibly even the devs themselves, but yeah, this is a better change overall. Also, before I finish this video, yes, I know the ogres are performing very poorly in this video. It's mostly because ogres just perform really badly on sieges, unless you're the one that's actually going to be playing the faction. There's nothing that can be done there until they start doing some AI fixes, but at least the siege stuff was fixed. So yeah, everyone, there'll likely be another video coming out soon. I'm just reading over the notes and seeing if there's anything of substance here.